not theists at least. Um,
But I think I'm using religion in a different terminology as like religion now, obviously.
yeah, I think you mean yeah. Um,
You
what
can
was
I
your
guess
question? Oh, how do we go about answering that? How do we go about answering
yeah.
or predicting the future? I mean, I to do it well, I think it just tons of research and then conclusions based off of that research. I haven't really done that much research
Yeah,
on it. I
no,
just like thought about it,
yeah,
lived life.
yeah. I mean, that's all those papers on the desk, that
Yeah.
those books, and
Yeah.
so
I mean, the thing is I don't know. I don't know how you go about doing it
right.
apart from this general term of collecting research and starting to think about it.
So I think that is maybe a good place to end/start on.
Yeah.
Does that
end now, start later.
Yeah, or end now, start now. You know what I mean?
Okay. What are we starting now?
Like starting the discussion rather of because why start later than when you can start now, right?
I mean, there's tons of reasons to do that. That's not like...
What I guess what I mean by that is starting now in the sense that we're now starting to be able to project this this either wanted or unwanted future and how to direct it or maybe undirect it to that sense. And I think what's important really is, well, to me at least, because I'm framing it in the design, in the interior design aspect, is: are we the next politicians? Are we
Are
the
designers the next politicians?
Yeah. Are we the
I mean, again, you said earlier that we've broken down the common conception of designer and not designer into something else. Like in the future, it would mean something else.
But I think also, like, kind of politics or bureaucracy rather, exists on a.
I mean, there's I mean, it's not like, somebody's gonna have to read a paper and file the forms, and someone will have to design the form.
No, but we exist. Is what I'm trying to say in this kind of framework of money, power. This kind of system that we've autonomized for existence, for the continuation of humanity and the.
That's not new. That's what culture is.
Right. So I guess it's really defining that, right, in that sense.
It's defining an aspect of that. Yeah, I think.
I think it encompasses it. No.
I mean, can you explain why it would encompass all of it?
Because without it, right, our existence would be not this existence. It would be a completely unthought of existence. It would be kind of the steampunk world in that sense. Well, that's unfair because we've obviously thought about the steampunk world, but the alternate reality. And so that's why it kind of encompasses it all, because it creates the autonomous notion of continuum.
The thing is, a lot of stuff does that.
But I think it stems from that, is what I'm trying.
Can you remind me what that refers to?
The whole power control aspect, the monetary kind of economic value, as well as I think materiality also plays a huge role in that we kind of disavow.
The thing is like, you can put it in terms of monetary and power relations and stuff, but you could just as easily put it in terms of love of, like,
you could completely
love
forget
and
about
kindness
that
and forgiveness.
But I think since it's so prevalent in our nature today, in today's society, I think we kind of need to frame that in versus love, nature. Like those are kind of happenings that exist autonomously, but they don't exist because autonomously based on our own creation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's like, but this could make a distinction between like nature and human creation, because then you could have the autonomous world which exists on its own or whatever, is separate from the autonomous world, which exists because humans, started something, and now it's become autonomous. It's like humans are a part of nature. I mean,
Right.
in order to make that distinction, there has to be human and then not human.
Right.
Or human creation,
Yeah,
not human
that's
creation.
I guess what I mean by
Yeah,
nature.
that's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Yeah.
And it's like there are a lot of assumptions that I think you need to like figure out first, which is like I don't know. Humans are a part of nature, literally. So like,
Right,
why
right.
are we separating these two? Yes, the tags ripped off. They were itching me.
So how does so essentially we have to kind of deconstruct the world to reconstruct it. Is kind of what we've ended up on. To redefine the world, we have to just take it apart and then kind of
Yeah.
redefine it again to redefine it literally.
I don't know if there has to be this deconstruction part in order. Like, it might just be like a construction part, or it might just be
Well,
figuring out and seeing. Like, you don't have to deconstruct anything. Like, intellectually, you can deconstruct something without, in fact, deconstructing it.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Like, we already have a bias of what certain notions mean, right? So in that sense, we have to deconstruct it to reconstruct it, into our own kind of understanding of what the world means and is and will be in the framework of that kind of reconstruction.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said earlier, you'll never completely deconstruct it
Maybe.
because you have your internal biases.
Right.
Which you
Right.
know.
Which is, how do you... Which helps having this machine now, or this...
I don't think so. This dude, what's his name?
No worries, what do you say?
He was, he said that, like, oh, well, everybody has bias, and everybody has some, like, fundamental thing that they always will view the world from, and then he, like, carved out his view of the world and stuff, and about his view of psychology, more specifically. And then he was like, oh, but I abstain from that because I come from the rational and pure view of science.
Which is obviously a bias in itself.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, so he's like, but his point was that he could see the other, like,
The other side, yeah.
clearly. He was coming from his own bias, but his bias was clarity, and it's like, what are you talking about? Why would you say that? That seems not true.
So, well, I mean, I think it is true and not
I
true
don't.
at the same time. That's why I think there exist multiple different kind of worlds, as I'm labeling it, that like we can define and not define at the same exact time. Hence bias situations, right? So now that we have kind of this mainframe, this boundary of which to produce in, or maybe label, how does that affect our analog state? Because we can kind of divide up, reconstruct, deconstruct a million times in this matrix, right? We can create a matrix of what the analog is, could be, will be, like 100 times over. Run different analyses of what the futures hold, what the pasts hold, but is there then a bias in that?
Yeah, I think there is. Because again, I don't think you can completely deconstruct or reconstruct the world. I think even if you're like, no, I'm from this objective point where, I see everything clearly and I've risen above all these like more biased things. It's like, how do you ever check that? How do you know that's the case? That
Right.
seems like it has to be an assumption. Like, it's like, no, it is the case here because I'm studying matter and the facts of the world. But it's like, like I did it through math and numbers, and it's like those are objective things that
Right.
can't be understood in any other way than one way. It's like, no, you're just a dude in a mind. Everybody's just a dude in a mind, and they read stuff and they cognize stuff.
Except
and
for girls, because they're dudettes.
they're doodads. Girls are doodads. I doodad that girl. Any girl, basically. Knock up that on the costume.
This is all gonna end up on
Yeah.
somewhere. I don't know where, but
unfortunately, and I'm going to get claimed of being a sexist pig.
no, it's okay.
I know it's okay, because I'll be like, listen, ladies, you know you like it. It's like, yeah, but why don't you just suck my dick?
All right, okay.
Oh,
let's
anyway, yeah.
let's stick away from the.
Okay. Anyways, I don't know how to establish that you come from some objective, unbiased realm of like pure rationality. It just that just doesn't make sense to me. I'd have to look. I think it's Levi Strauss. That's the guy who said it. Levi Strauss. Yeah. I don't know how to look up his name. I'm gonna get back to work, by the way.
Yeah, no
It's
worries.
just